All right, hey guys, here's like the first official video of the, I don't want to say newer format, but we're still going to be doing screen capture, but I'm going to be just using my phone. I'm just over the whole thing. So here it is. I can't flip it, so we'll go to the next video and yeah, there it is.
Now tonight we are so excited to introduce our first guest. He's been on our show before and he's here again to lend his expertise. Please welcome celebrity vocal coach James Lugo.
All right, so we're going to do the walkthrough that we did yesterday that came out terrible. And we're going to do it. I'm telling you, it's going to be better. All right. So the guitar rig has gone through a complete transformation. I'm going to turn this air conditioner off for a minute so we don't hear anything. And it is beyond, and not to say that there's not people with crazier guitar rigs, because there are. I just can't believe this, that I have this rig. And it's everything that I ever wanted. Well, no. It's things I didn't even know I wanted. Like, it's beyond. So there's Thunderdome and then there's Beyond Thunderdome. That's a J Mascis Jazzmaster. I love that guitar. Guitar makes me happy. My old Gretsch, Blacktop Filtertrons, Epiphone 335, PV Forenza with P90s, the old Strat I learned on, man. You know, brought back to being a Strat with Fralins. My trusty black Les Paul Standard that has been brought back too. That's been in E flat with 11s, and it's been laying around for years doing nothing. And I just put 10s back on it and tuned it up to standard and put the nut sauce in the nut and stretched out the strings, and it's been amazing. It's sounding better than ever. It's amazing. There's my Epiphone Les Paul with coil tapping. That's kind of my all-around guitar. I could literally just I can almost do pretty much everything I do with this guitar because it's like a Les Paul and a Tele all-in-one guitar. This is a beater Yami with the low 6 strings of a 7-string set. So it's a baritone. It's B to B, but it's a guitar. It plays like a guitar. It's not that long scale length, and it's really nice. Mexican P-bass with quarter pounders, and this is a Yamaha, I think it's called a broad bass, BB. It's PJ, active and passive, you can go between them. Dan Electro 12-string, purple sparkle. Look at that. And then my Martin, the Taylor my brother gave me, and a Tanglewood 12-string. And then over here, I've got like 3 guitar stands with, this is kind of like the guitars I'm using for the day, like I focus on. And this Strat is just, I don't know, I can't even, you know, I had so much gear laying around here that half of it I was trying to sell and most of it I wasn't using, just a bunch of dead guitars, not dead, but dead for me, and pedals, and I took everything down to Guitar Center. And I told my buddy, I said, just do the best you can with a trade-in. I know you get yourself killed a little bit on trade-ins, but just do the best you can. I want that Strat. It is incredible. It's called a Professional 2. It's got this weird switch that engages the neck pickup for different combination. They're called V-Mod pickups. And during the whole trade, I got them to install a set of locking tuners. That's a guitar I've wanted. I've wanted a guitar like this since Hollywood, because Greg, the guy who used to work for me, had like a Strat, and it just always blew my mind. And actually my buddy Clint out here has a like purple like custom shop Strat that's just killer. Now I got a killer Strat. My WCR Paul with WCR pickups. And there's my old Tele that has had Lawler specialties for years. And you know, they're cool, they're dark, they're heavy, they're kind of rocking. I just was over them. I just didn't like the sound anymore, and I did some research, and I was thinking, maybe I'll sell it and just get like a regular American Standard or something. And I ended up getting a pair of the Fender V-Mod Telecaster pickups Me and Jace put it in there myself, or me and Jace put it in there ourselves. And it's amazing. That's Jace's like favorite guitar. He loves the neck on that. So there's the guitar. So it is a fair amount. There's 14 in there, 16, 7. There's like 18 guitars. But I did have about, I think I had 21 or 22. So we did thin the herd. But this is now everything I use. I mean, there's nothing really in here at this point that's much overlap, you know. I mean, because like I've got P90s in the Forenza and P90s in the Jazz, but those guitars are totally different types of guitars. The Forenza is more for just like straight playing, rhythm playing, and Jazzmaster's for like Jazzmaster kind of music and Jazzmaster playing, which I've really gotten into. So they're two different things. All right, now, well, you know what? I'll go through the cabinet situation. So you'll notice there's only one cabinet. This is my Mesa Traditional with 25 watt greenbacks at 8 ohms. This was stacked up here, and down here, I had an oversized Mesa with vintage 30s, just a regular, you know, your garden variety, you know, vintage 30 Mesa. And having this on top of it brought the mic stands out to here, and they were like they were like on top of each other. It was just a pain. And the thing is that I wasn't using the vintage 30 cabinet that much. I was using this like 90% of the time. And a part of what I'm about to get into is the change that I made is I'm at a point now where I just don't want to work every day with like the sound of guitar in the other room, because it's slow. It's too hard. I gotta track, listen, make adjustments, track, listen. I can't just be like deciding as I go. This cabinet being on top, being used most of the time, when I blasted that thing, it was so loud because I'm right in here. But one of the beautiful things about it, well, there's three things that are beautiful about it. First of all, like this, to me, it looks better. It's a little more space. It's a little cleaner without the cab under it. That's one. Two, it sounds better. And I don't know why, maybe it's psychosomatic, but I put the casters back on it. It's now not attached kind of to another cab. Maybe, I don't know, maybe up in the air made it sound different, but I like it down here better. That's two. And what's three? Oh, here's three. And these are all great things that I didn't know were going to be great when I first did this. With the cabinet down here, the volume out here is much lower. The volume out here is way lower because I've got all this schmutz here. And, you know, it's down, everything. Well, with up here, the sound just flew in there. So in that sense, it's just a win-win-win-win. Yeah, my neighbor installed this amazing pegboard that I painted black I was going to do it, and then I got lazy. I'm like, oh, I'll just put it up normal. My wife's like, no, you're going to paint it black. It'll be a lot cooler. As usual, she's right. Okay, anyway, moving on. So the amps that I've kept are my modded Marshall, my stock Marshall, and my AC30. And those are my amps. And so getting this, so I had an aux box like last year or the beginning of this year, and I really liked it. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, I was just tired of it. And I was like, I just want to do, you know, I wanted it. I don't know. There were things about it I didn't like. And my head wasn't there. So I ended up selling it. And then I had like this stack of amps that I was using. I had a rectifier. I had a Fender Deluxe, all this stuff in here. And really all I used was these three. That's just like, this is everything. And the thing that I liked about the Deluxe was I liked it for the cleans, but the Deluxe cleans in the Axe effects, that's just makes me happy. So I'm good to go. So anyway, so I'm trying to think like, do I just get rid of all the cabinets? So I go, I'm going to take a shot at it. I got a used aux plugged it in, had the usual pain in the butt getting that thing set up and dealing with Universal Audio. Oh my God, don't get me started. But I got it rocking, and it's so amazing. You know what it's amazing with? It's amazing with my AC30, and it's amazing with vintage 30s. What's not amazing about this, and this is just my opinion, and I have messed with it, I think the greenback cabinet in this thing sucks. I think it just sucks. I don't like the way it sounds. There's whatever, anything, dampen this, put that here, move mic, off axis, ribbon mic, dynamic, it doesn't matter. There's nothing about it. I don't know if they just didn't capture it or what, but this thing destroys it. I mean, destroys it. And I've gotten away from the 421, which that's pretty much what I was, 57 421 for like 20 years. And I've gone back to what I was doing for a time in North Hollywood, which is the Biodynamic M160. I like this combo. Anyway, this cabinet with these 25-watt greenbacks and that 57 and that Biodynamic M160 into a pair of TG preamps, the Chandler Limited, that combination completely wastes the greenback cab. It's like sad. It's absolutely sad how bad it kills it. But the vintage 30 cabinet, when I rocked it, was better through this, to me and to most people. I sent it out to all my friends. There was only like one guy that liked the cab better. Everybody else liked this better. And a number of people commented the same thing of the whole shootout. They said cab 2 with the vintage 30 was absolutely the best of everything, including greenback and everything. So this is great for vintage 30, and it's great for the AC30, and it's got all kinds of cool little things to it, cool cabinets and open back and nerdy stuff, and the effects are very nice. And having the 1176 is great because you can kind of crank it. It's really, really well done. So yeah, so I've got my amps. I can run them live through the cabinet, or I can run them through that. And the thing is, with my AC30, what I didn't like was having it set up in the other room as a combo. Not for me. And an AC30, so this is just again, I'm being a little opinionated, but an AC30 through a closed back 412 sounds great. It sounds really warm and very put together. Everything I don't want an AC30 to sound like. To me, I want the AC30. I don't know if anybody ever got a chance to listen to the single tracks of Queen. I think I heard, like, it was Death on Two Legs. It was Killer Queen. Man, listening to the solo tracks of Brian May with his Vox. I mean, those tracks, as much as they're genius, there's some of parts of them are so nasty sounding. And that's the sound. And that's what for me, I lose when I go into a closed back cabinet, because it gets too warm, right? You know, people are always like, oh, we want warm, warm, warm. Hey, yes and no. You don't want everything warm. I don't anyway. That's not my thing. So anyway, there it is. There's the stack. There's the cab with the 57 and the 421. They're going into a pair of TG mic pre's. I've also got a pair of Vintex, which are fantastic, and a pair of Cappies, which are pretty good too. The TGs are coming out here, and then they're multing. So I'll come around there and explain that. So obviously, people know that I've almost everything. Actually, no, I take it back. Not almost. Everything that I have here that is in the world of modeler, profile, simulator, whatever, the aux, the Kemper, and the Axe FX, every single unit these are the second units I've owned. I owned an Ox and sold it and bought another one. I owned a Kemper and sold it, bought another one. And I got an Axe FX on trade about a month ago. A dude was buying a computer off of me, and he says, I have a Axe FX 2 Mark 1, like the first series. He's like, can I trade it towards this computer? And I thought, well, he wanted to make music. I was kind of, he's a friend of a friend. So I'm like, all right, you know what? That's cool, because, if I don't like it, which I pretty much knew I wasn't going to like it in my mind, I could sell it. It'd be easier to sell the computer. I could put it on Reverb and ship it. Well, I got it and I fired it up and I enjoyed it. It was pretty cool. It was fun. I didn't particularly like the way it sounded, but it was cool. I thought it was fun, and I got rid of it, and I had just sold my 1170. I sold a ton of gear, a bunch of Neves, and I thought, you know what? I'll take a little bit of that money and I'll put it towards this Fractal. No, that's right. I took the money that I sold the other Fractal, and I sold my triple rec. And I said, I'll take all of that and I'm going to buy an Axe FX 3. And you get 15 days, you can return it if you decide like it's not for you. So I took the plunge, I got it, and had the same experience that I had the first time I bought a Kemper, which is you fire it up, you start playing like the presets or the factory or the, with Rig Manager, there's Rig Exchange, like the generic, not generic, but it's public ones. And almost everything stinks. Like everything goes from like completely awful and useless to just uninspiring, and then once in a blue moon, there were a couple of Michael Britt, there was like a Chop Tones, there was a Sin Mix, there was a couple in there that were cool that like, oh, maybe there's hope for it. That's with the Kemper. Now with the Axe FX, the presets that come with it from the factory, man, like they're all right, but good Lord. So now I'm messing with this thing, and now I'm realizing like, wow, first of all, I don't even barely know how to use this thing. And in my lack of knowledge of how to use it, I just think this thing is lame. But I'm like, all right, I'm going to battle through it because I see people are doing great work with it, And my friend Mark Day hits me up, or I hit him up, and he's an old buddy of mine from LA, and he it was one of the original Fractal people. He works there. And he's like, hey, yeah, let me give you a template. Like he just told me what 2 cabinets to put in and how to set them. And 2 minutes later, I had them set up and I threw an amp on there. I was like, oh, that sounds pretty good. And then he's like, yeah, do this, do that, do this, do that. I wrote it all down. I'm a protocol guy. And I was like, oh, this is really cool, man. And then I downloaded a Leon Todd free cabinet preset, and then I put that in there, and all of that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool too. Mark's was more beefy and fat. Leon Todd's was more like lean, more kind of like an 80s sound. It was cool, man. I mean, Mark's was more full body. Leon Todd's was more lean, but it was good. It gave me and then, so now I realize I'm like, oh, and then I keep reading oh yeah, it's the IRs, because I know from my own experience, you can switch out pickups, amp, microphones, preamps. Nothing to me makes a bigger difference in a guitar sound than the cabinet. The cabinet is a dramatic difference. If you go from a Marshall with greenbacks to a orange with vintage 30s, and you mic it up with the same thing, you play the same amp and the same guitar, it sounds like a completely different sound. Yeah, just literally not even the same amp. It's just a complete thing. So I said, all right. So I find it, there's a couple of companies that sell them that are Own Hammer and all this. but I'm kind of like checking all this stuff out, and I'm listening to some of these York Impulses, York Audio. Anyway, I contact the guy. Nice dude, you know, chatted back and forth for a day, and I bought a couple of the packs. They're like $14 a piece, and it gives you like, I don't know, man. It comes with like 100 of the single mics for all the different setups, and then like 100 of the other single mics. But then it comes with like 30 what's called mixes. And he said, just download everything, but just import the mixes. The mixes are the combination of mics with everything that he says 90% of the people never leave past the mixes. So I said, all right, well, I'm up for that, because what I don't need is thousands of choices. And that also lends into what I've done different with the Kemper, but we'll get into that. It's going to be a little bit longer video, but this is going to be the video. Like, you can reference back to this, because now we're going to be shooting videos about all of this stuff, about using it, recording, guitars, preamps, mics, compressors, Axe effects, amps, you know, you name it, all of it. Strymons. Anyway, that's why I'm explaining why this is going to be long. But, so that's it. So I get these York, I always want to say York peppermint patties, York IRs, and they're great. I mean, like, they're like, wow, great. Like, they're making, now the Axe effects is like cool. But my buddy, Mr. Bob Manganello, about 2 weeks ago or so, said, hey, you should check out Austin Buddy. And I got to tell you, I was like, Austin, I don't know. I thought it was like a, I don't know. The name was like, I was like, Austin Buddy. It sounded like da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey, it's Austin Buddy. I don't know. I didn't do it. I didn't check it out. But I kept thinking about what he was saying. And then as I'm learning, a couple people are like, oh, and Rick Vieira, my buddy over in Cali, a rock dude, he's like, hey, you got to check out Austin Buddy. And I'm thinking, oh, man, Bob was telling me the same thing, because Bob said that the whole thing with Axe Effects changed for him when he got the Austin Buddy kit, or the, you know, whatever the presets. So anyway, he says, oh, do that. So I contact Austin Buddy, and I get the live gold. It was on sale for like $99. It's like 1,000 presets. It's like, it's not 1,000. It's like 200 presets or 3, and each one has like banks of like 8. But you know, it's got a lot of basic stuff. But the presets are nice, and I mean they're nice. Oh my God, the Triax clean with the chorus. Oh my God, it's like, it sounds like Walking on the Moon, The Fix. You know, like, oh man, just like Cyndi Lauper, you know, it just sounds killer, man, just killer. But anyway, so I'm jamming on it. I'm jamming on the Axe Effects. I love it. It does all this cool stuff. The Kemper, I have now got my folders set up with all of my favorites. It's very simple, and we'll go through it. But the Kemper is, I love the Kemper for like just pure sound of guitar, rhythms. I love it. I've been using it for reamping, like with my Marshall. I've got it down to a science, sample accurate, polarity, everything. I love the way that so to me, and now keep in mind, I've been on the Kemper for a couple of years. I've been on the Axe Effects only a few weeks, and I got the Cooper, whatever his name is, Cooper Carter instructional video series. It's like 12 hours. I'm only about 10% into it. So, but there's some, like because they're profiles, I think like the Kemper just feels more and sounds more like just amp to me. Like what I mainly use it for is rectifier, VH4, Uberschall, Orange, 3 Monkeys, High Watt. You know, though I've been going through my Michael Britt and Bert Muhlendijk and Guido's things, and man, some of the Fenders are great, and you know, like I've got a folder with cleans and with mid gains, and you know, there's like divided by 13 in Carr and Victoria, all kind of similar kind of AC30 deluxe reverb. But So there it is. There it is. Big and long-winded. Pedal board. You know, the usual kind of like whatever, Cali 76. A bunch of stomp boxes. I'm doing licensing music, so the guitar synth and the octaver is really important. EQ, a couple of overdrives and a fuzz, and then I've got the Strymon trio. And everything comes out here. I'm gonna see if we can get this where you can kind of see it. And this is why, like, for all the videos coming up, you're gonna want to watch this because I'm gonna explain things as I go, but I'm not going to like be pointing cameras at things. I'm just gonna say, so the aux comes out here, the Axe Effects comes out here, the Kemper comes out here, and the Allen and Heath comes out here, which is the mult. So this is aux, Axe Effects, Kemper, and live amp. So now if I was to come here, and let's say, for argument's sake, because we're arguing, we're not arguing. There's your aux, right? So now you're hearing the aux, you know, like that, you're hearing the axe, you get it. You go down the line. So that's as fast, that's as long as it takes to go between all these different things. Here are my two inputs for the Burl B2, which is my primary converter for all things rock and roll guitar. But let me plug this over because I was just tracking vocals. Give me a second. I gotta figure out a better way with this, but that cable's bugging me. Anyway, so I come out of whatever I'm in. Like right now I'm in Axe Effects. I come out and I go into, oh, I don't know, I screwed this up. But whatever, because I've just been plugging everything in. Anyway, I go in here, and then it just loops right through. I'm just going to plug this in, you'll see. All right, so it goes in there. So what it basically does is whatever I'm using comes out to a pair of Brit-modded distressors, so left and right, and then it goes straight into the GML EQ, which is absurd, left and right, and then it goes straight into the Burl B2. I'm going to tell you guys something. It's absolutely unbelievable sounding. All this stuff going through a pair of Brit-modded distressors, a GML 8200 EQ, I mean, forget it, crazy, into a Burl B2. It's just, it's beyond anything I thought. That I just can't believe it. It sounds so insane. Distressor is, I've just kind of done this. I'm 4-to-1. I put in the mid. I put in that mid bump because something I've noticed about all modelers, profilers, you know, simulating amps. There's this little thing sometimes in the mid range that's too much for my ear. It bugs me. This tames it. It's beautiful. And then I do high pass here and distortion 3, and I only hit it with a few dBs. You know, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. And if I'm doing cleans, I can take off the distortion, and then that's it. Everything's around noon. Boom, done. Here, I'm mostly just cutting a little bit of 100 and boosting a little 6K and a little 5K, or sorry, 8K and 5K, not 6K. Yeah, like more like, what I do. I blew it up. Yeah, more like 8K. Yeah, there you go. You know, and that's it. Just a little bit. And you can obviously go crazy and sculpt if you want, but yeah. And then, you know, the guitar's live mult there. So that's, anyway, that's it. It's just insane. It's just absolutely insane. And I mean, yeah. So I hope this video is cool. Again, this is the first real one that I'm doing this way. I've got it on a Gorilla Pod. It may be a little shaky because I'm kind of nervous and I'm thinking and I'm like moving around, but I think like I can get this thing pretty smooth. I mean, it's not like it's not like we're doing the bar scene in Swingers with the Steadicam. Any LA actors will get that reference. That's a big topic of conversation in that world. But there it is. So much better, so much more room. 87. I even got a SM7 with a cloud lifter. You know how many times I've gotten the SM7s and been like, oh, I don't get this. The cloud lifter actually makes it nice. So there it is. Avocet S1, pair of Genelec 1031s, pair of NS10s with a Yamaha power amp. And that's, my dog's not here. He's in the house. Anyway, so yeah, I'll flip this around and say goodbye. All right, guys, so that's it. Where do I look? Do I look here? Oh, that looks like it's there. It's kind of weird because I feel like if I look there, I'm looking the wrong way. Anyway, guys, so I'm not looking at myself right now. Look, behind me is like the workbench. I should have something really sexy behind me, like some amps.